Um, Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020 meeting of the East Long Meadow Conservation Commission. At this time, in accordance with Mass General Law, I need to ask if anybody in the viewing audience is recording this meeting, and if so, please raise your hand and identify yourself.
Nope, there's no one.
All righty. I'll have to apologize. I said for taking the, or actually, okay, I'll just go on with item number one is approval of the minutes of September 9th, 2020. Those came out today. I did not get a chance to look at them, so I will entertain a motion to move the approval of the minutes of the September 9th meeting to our next meeting, which would be the second Wednesday in October.
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, need to do a roll call vote. Jeffrey,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
and I'm an aye also.
And
I'm
Tony?
not sure. Oh, you there, Tony?
Oh, there he is.
Can you hear us, Tony?
Guess not. Okay.
Tony. All right. I did not have the latest copy of the agenda printed. Was Pleasant Street or Fairway Lane first in the certificate of compliance?
Pleasant Street.
Okay, next item on the agenda is request for certificate of compliance for 79 Pleasant Street, which would be the Brownstone Gardens property. We did get a drawing on that. I think it was yesterday or today.
Yeah.
And there was also a letter sent in from Ryan Nelson, the environmental scientist for R. Levesque Associates Incorporated. Ryan, if you're in the audience, would you like to comment on this?
Chris Carr is in the audience. He might be able to speak on the issue.
Okay, Chris, if you would like to speak.
He's muted.
Hello?
There he is.
Hello?
Can you hear him?
Can you hear me now?
Can
Yeah.
hear you now.
Quite frankly, this is something we brought before the commission 10 years ago. It was our plan to expand one more building at Brownstone. The government changed its rules at that time to permit refinancing, and so we have gone another route. We are, for the time being, discontinuing any thoughts of adding that building at this present time, and instead are refinancing both Brownstone Gardens 1 and Brownstone Gardens 2 with the hopes of upgrading by adding elevators and fire sprinklers and some other vastly needed roofs, resurfacing parking lots, things like that, to make it safer and more ADA compliant. This entails only Brownstone 1 and Brownstone 2. Brownstone 3 is not eligible yet to refinance, and it is our hope to do that in the not too distant future as soon as HUD allows that. The thing is, on the title, when we were doing the refinancing, the order of conditions showed where we had done it, and it was picked up as a title infringement, and the lawyers picked it up, and they've asked me to proceed and get it off the title. And as a result, we filed the compliance issue. The people that did the original drawings 10 years ago, our Levesque and Company, Ryan Nelson works for them, and they have stated that that building was never built. I've also furnished photographs to show that that building was never built. Although we may be back in front of you in 3 years asking to build another building, right for the time and purposes now, we're content with adding elevators and fire sprinklers. And therefore, I ask that a certificate of compliance be added so that we can move forward with our refinancing.
My only question was, this was a complete separate filing from Brownstone 1?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
No.
This would be similar, similar but different to what we have existing on Pondview Drive, where the previous owner did not do anything with the property, and we issued a certificate of compliance saying that nothing was done. And so then when it came up again, it needed to be filed. And I know it sounds a little quirky that we're issuing or we might issue a certificate of compliance, even though no work has been done. But that's what we need. We just state that when we fill out the certificate of compliance that the work was never done. And so it is in compliance. There was no impact on the wetland or resource area. Based on that, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the request for a certificate of compliance for 79 Pleasant Street, Brownstone Gardens 2.
So moved.
I'll
Second.
second that.
Is there any further discussion?
Just one thing, on the certificate of compliance, it'll be made clear that the work was never done and therefore it should be removed from the title.
Correct.
Yes, and through the chair, there is actually a box already on the form
Okay,
that applicants can check off for this same purpose.
okay. So we haven't received that yet?
No, it's on the form that we fill out.
Well, she said the applicant could check it, so.
No, that would be for us to check, I believe. Correct, Bethany?
It's actually on both forms, I think.
Oh,
So the application he sent in, it's the third box. Usually,
Oh,
I
okay,
think
so
check
we
the
did
first one.
receive. We received all of this just recently, so
Okay. Thank you, Bethany.
thank you.
So now moving forward with the vote, Jeffrey,
Aye.
Aaron,
Yep.
Francis,
Aye.
and I will vote yes also. Tony, are you there? Tony? All right, the motion passes then. Thank you very much, Mr. Carr, for your cooperation and patience in the matter.
Thank you for your help, and I hope to see you in 3 years reversing this, all right?
All
Thank
right,
you very
Okay.
much.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda was a request for a certificate of compliance for Fairway Lane. I don't have the lot number in front of me because, like I said, I didn't print out that copy of the agenda. If somebody could help me out with that, I would appreciate it.
Okay, this is a request for a partial certificate of compliance for Lot 10 Fairway Lanes Estates. And the assessor's parcel is, ID is 6-10-0.
And 6-11-0.
That's not what it says on the agenda.
Oh, well, that's what the letter says. I'm reading it, the letter
Oh, okay.
from RLA.
Oh, the letter from Levesque?
Yep,
Okay. This is the lot that if you were pulling in or down what used to be the gravel driveway, which is now the road for this subdivision, it's all the way down at the end on the left. And there really wasn't a lot of work done in this area. It was a pre-existing house that was there. That was just added. I believe it was purchased and added to the property. Again, I guess I'll ask if there is anyone from Levesque Associates in the audience that would like to comment on this. Okay, I'm assuming we have nobody. I was out there last maybe a month or so ago, and there really hasn't been activity on this lot, where on the left side, the work that's going on there is on the right side of the road, where the other half a dozen homes are going in. So I guess I will entertain a approval for the request for certificate of compliance for Fairway Lane.
So moved.
I'm not sure what we're voting on. I don't see the certificate of compliance in my file.
It's a partial certificate of compliance for the one lot in the subdivision.
I know, but I'm looking for the, oh, there it is. Geez, sorry. It's so small.
Yeah,
Okay,
and this was a pre-existing house out there that just got added to the initial filing.
okay, sorry. I just, trying to do everything online,
Yeah,
not printing everything, so
yep, I understand.
thank you. I got it.
So the motion was made. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion? And there is any further discussion? No, but we do have the letter from Levesque Associates
Right.
saying that the lot was in compliance.
Yes.
So we'll move forward to a vote. Roll call vote. Jeffrey,
Aye.
Aaron,
Yes.
Francis,
Aye.
and I am a yes also. I see Tony's in there twice.
Can you hear Tony?
I guess not. So the vote's approved 4-0. Public hearings, we had no public hearings. Next, we're going to project monitoring. Jeffrey got the drawing for 79 Old Farm, and it extends a little bit of a ways down. We spoke about it on the phone, but I believe 79 that we didn't render a definite decision at the last meeting. But I would say, Jeffrey, you could comment also, but I would say at this point, we can inform Kevin Duquette that lot 79 is definitely non-jurisdictional to the commission.
Right. Bethany did make a copy of that old plan, and once you could actually see it in a large format, it was clear that 79 is non-jurisdictional. It's 2 lots further down where the wetland really kicks in, which would basically be 53 Old Farm. So, yeah, I would say we could definitely let Kevin issue that building or the permit for the wall, retaining wall.
I don't believe this is something that we need to vote on, but we can just let Kevin Duquette know that we're okay with it. Jeff, could you shed some light on 53 and lot 53 was the one that we had the request for a certificate of compliance that was then withdrawn. And then there was some concerns raised about the plans that we saw, but I'm gonna let Jeff speak. I guess more came to light after Jeff has seen this plan.
Let me see if I can let me just pop into the next room, get the plan, see if I can hold it up so if you can see it through the camera in a large format.
Okay.
Can you see this is basically the property line for 53. And you can see the location of the house and the driveway. And this is the wetland line right here.
Wetland or buffer zone?
It says limit of wetlands. The buffer zone is actually out here, which goes out into the street and goes here. So basically, this whole property is within the 100-foot buffer zone.
Wow.
And they had originally applied back in 2010 with the zoning board for a variance to put a pool back here, which was denied because of the wetland, and they were allowed to put it in over here.
When was the house built, Jeff?
I'm not sure when the house was built, but it was, actually, if you hold on a second, I can pull it up and tell you.
I think it was late 80s, but.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't-
that-
I want to say
Okay.
late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I can pull up the property record card real quick here and tell you exactly.
So there is definitely some deed restrictions on this piece of property.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
What is the address on the property you're talking about? Sorry.
53 Old Farm. It's
Oh.
actually 3 houses down from 79.
Oh, I didn't, why are we talking about that one? Because it's in the buffer zone?
We're talking about it because the property was up for sale.
Wow, I didn't hear you, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It was brought up because the property was up for sale, and the original owner was supposed to apply for a certificate of compliance because it was never filed once the house was completed.
Okay, thank you.
And that's where we got into the problem where one of the attorneys, I don't know if it was from the seller or the buyer, stated a case law and said they didn't have to do it. And what's transpired is the house was sold on August 10th of this year.
This is the one that also we talked about at the meeting, and we voted to request that the town manager allow us to use the town attorney
Correct.
to get
Yeah.
more information on this, and our request was denied. I had in the last couple weeks resent some emails to the town manager regarding this, but unfortunately we still do not have an approval to use the town attorney for this.
Thank you.
And it is one of these things, and from what I can tell, it's a matter of what the lawyers are doing. We just heard from Mr. Carr regarding deeds and stuff and closing things out, and there's an entitled infringement, he said. So, I believe this is something that really needs to be done, but at this point, our hands are tied because we have not been able to use the town attorney. So I guess at this point, and I mean, I did put this in my email to the town manager, we need to proceed and take the best action that we feel is possible.
The house was constructed in 1994.
And we have every right as a commission, to ask, and this is how the project monitoring started because of some of these old orders out there. We have every right to ask the current homeowner to complete a certificate of compliance because they now own that responsibility as the new homeowner. So what does the commission think?
Well, my opinion is that we should send a formal letter to the Gamellis, which are now the current owner, requesting them to file a certificate of compliance for this. And unfortunately, they're probably going to be fairly upset about it, but the only thing I would tell them is, this is something you need to take up with the buying and selling attorneys, because this was, and I did go on to Hampton County Registry of Deeds and research their mortgage, and that restriction is still on their mortgage, that along with a lot of others that were placed by the town, easements and so forth, but the one by the Conservation Commission is on there. So, and I forget the name of the attorney who stated the case law, stating that they didn't have to comply, but unfortunately 310 CMR says they do. And the property is clearly, I would say a majority, if not, going by this, 2/3 of the property is wetlands. And the limit of wetland basically goes, I would say, it almost cuts across the end of the driveway area and probably comes within probably 20 feet of the back of the house.
Can you, excuse me, can you give me, do we have the original certificate that was sent for this property, or can you kind of give me a history of? I guess I'm confused. I'm confused about what the certificate is requesting and.
Okay, basically, this whole development, there was an NOI filed.
Okay.
Because of the wetlands for this development. And there's certain lots that fall under the jurisdiction of 310 CMR, the Wetlands Protection Act, because of their close proximity to the wetlands.
Okay.
And the NOI gives an order of conditions, and which are levied by and any special conditions by the Conservation Commission.
Right.
And then once the house is built according to the original plan, to get it released from the NOI and the order of conditions, a certificate of compliance needs to be filed.
Right.
And technically, a house or a property cannot be sold or transferred until that certificate of compliance is filed. And in this case, one of the attorneys, I forget who that attorney was representing, stated they didn't have to do it. But I'm sorry, you do have to do it. And the house was sold and the deed was transferred. But that restriction now follows and carries on to the new homeowner. So now it's on the new homeowner to file that certificate of compliance.
Can you also explain what was on the old order of conditions? What was the request?
Maybe we can have a copy of it emailed to us, because I don't have it either.
We actually do have it. This one is kind of old.
Oh, okay.
We could have maybe asked Bethany to send it again, but when this issue first came up, somewhere between a month and a half and 2 months ago,
I think this came up in July.
the order was sent out about it. But it wouldn't be bad if we could get it sent again. I'd have to do a little bit of digging to find it also. But this is just for a little background for Aaron and Francis. One of the things that would be nice, but it does kind of put an undue burden on an applicant, would be if they would file a separate notice of intent for each individual lot. But then that would be quite costly to file notice of intents for every single lot. And I don't know, I would say in this development, this is Prospect Hills, off of Prospect and Pease. And I would say somewhere between 25 and 30% of the lots in there, we have jurisdiction over.
Okay.
So 70, 80% or so of the lots we do not have jurisdiction over, but the notice of intent was filed for the whole development.
This was originally sent, I pulled it up, originally sent to the commission on August 4th.
Okay. About 6
And-
weeks ago, yep.
That's for the request for certificate of compliance. And all the orders of conditions are attached to that.
And what the applicant stated at that time was that they didn't feel that they could get access to the drawings or anything like that for
Mhm.
this piece of property. And they are on file in the town hall and they are at the registry of deeds. So they are somewhat easily accessible. I mean, you might not be able to get them right away, but it's not like they're impossible to find. They do exist. The drawing that Jeff is using came out of the files that Bethany got recently.
Okay, I found it. I found the email from Bethany and I did pick up a copy of the plans and I just didn't take them out for tonight. They're filed away, so I do have those. I went and picked them up.
So Jeff was talking about, you know, us sending a letter. I don't think that's a bad idea, in my opinion. And frankly, I've never been to look at this lot. I wouldn't mind going and doing a site visit there. And what do you folks think?
I
Go ahead, Aaron, sorry.
I'm so curious that when they do the title search that they didn't let the new buyers know that there was some kind of restriction on the property. So you had said that the lawyer said that wasn't an issue, right, Jeff? The new buyers.
No, what I'm saying is I don't recall I would have to go back and see if I could research and find that email. That one of the attorneys, I don't know if it was for the buyer or the seller, I have a feeling it was for the seller, stated some kind of case law that they didn't have to file a certificate of compliance. And they basically ignored us and went ahead and sold the property anyway.
Okay.
And that's the reason why we were requesting that the town attorney research that case law so we could make a decision, because I'm not an attorney and I don't review or go research case law.
Right.
That's not I'm not a professional at that.
Right.
Go ahead.
I just found Bethany's email going back August. Well, it's a lot of string of emails, but the first one is August 4th. And she says, please see attached to the request for certificate of compliance for 53 Old Farm Road, scheduled to the August 12th COMCOM meeting. Thank you, Bethany, but there's no attachment. Oh, no, I don't see the attachment, but it could be.
Yeah, it's right above that.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And
It says
if I may,
PDF file.
what happened there was, you know, Bethany followed the procedure,
Right.
you know, and requested that we have a letter from an engineer or somebody saying that the lot is in compliance. And then what ended up being the final response from that, there was a case law stated by one of the attorneys, I don't recall which one either. And the case was actually Lyons versus somebody. I don't recall that, but that is in one of the emails.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Okay.
Yeah, and hence that's why we requested the use of the town council. But right so far, you know, and it was several weeks ago, probably longer.
Mm-hmm.
It might even be a month ago that we requested it, and you know, we were denied it.
I remember. Yeah.
But so, what do you guys think about doing a site visit in the letter?
That would be my, I would like to see the old order of conditions and do a site visit.
Yeah, me too. I agree. And the letter is a good thing. If you could
You
send us
have
the
that
draft.
August 4th email, Aaron?
I'll have to go back and check. I'm on a device that doesn't have my email.
Yeah, but I think if you look at the August 4th, the request for certificate of compliance is there. And towards the end of it, you'll see all the orders of conditions attached.
Okay.
You know what's strange is I'm on that email and I don't see the attachments. Isn't that weird?
Sometimes you lose it on a string, you know?
Yeah, that must be what happened because it's not there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Um,
look through.
So I was going to forward it to Aaron, but it's no good. The attachment isn't there.
I can send it out again
Thank you. I appreciate it.
tomorrow, and I might give the attorney a call too, just to get the story straight. 'cause
Oh, there it
it's
is.
been
I got
so
it.
long.
I got it. I'm going to forward it right now.
All right, thank you, because
You're
yeah,
And I believe the email from the attorney was pretty straightforward. They cited a case law and said we don't have to do it. That was it.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, basically that was it.
Well,
Yeah.
guess what? They're wrong. So we just have to let them know and let them.
Yes, and this was also the one that we requested comments from Mark Stinson, and Mark would not opine on it.
Yes, yes, that's
Oh,
true.
that's right. Oh, yeah, it's a legal thing.
Yep.
so I'm not sure how much sway we have in this situation unless we have the town attorney helping.
Yep. I guess, you know, I guess in what I you know, I guess what I'm wondering is, you know, should we send a letter out and do a site visit, or go do a site visit and then ask for the letter? But I firmly believe we have every legal right to ask for the certificate of compliance. And the example right here is with you know, R. Levesque and Associates for Brownstone. I also received a call, you know, this week from an attorney regarding getting a certificate of compliance because they believe it's the right thing to do
Okay,
and the right procedure to follow.
Well, you know what Mr. Carr said? He said when they went to get the financing, the bank would not finance without the certificate of compliance. That's what I thought he said.
Yeah,
And so how did these people sell the house without the certificate of compliance? There
they
you
could have
go.
bought it cash.
Or maybe they did. Okay. So we need to send a letter out. Yeah.
Well, we don't know what transpired. Well, I don't think they bought it cash because there's a mortgage registered with the registry of deeds on this property.
That's what I thought. you said.
Clearly indicating the restrictions of one of the restrictions is the orders of conditions from the Conservation Commission back then,
Right.
which has been carried forward in perpetuity because of the limit of work line, because of the wetland. That has to be, that goes on to whoever in the future owns the house. But in order to close out the orders of conditions, there has to be a certificate of completion file and recorded with the registry of deeds.
I agree.
That's what I thought. So why did they give him the mortgage without that?
Through the chair, what I'd like to do is give the attorney a call tomorrow, get a little bit more information on what's going on and what their thinking was before making assumptions. We don't know what this whole story is, so I'd like to get it straight, and then I can let the commission know what's going on.
Okay, thank you, Beth.
That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
that would. And if you can find that email, Bethany, that that attorney referenced that case law, you know.
Yeah, we have it. Yeah, I'll have to do a little bit of digging, but at this point, no offense, Bethany, but I believe what the attorney is going to tell you is, according to this case law, we didn't have to do it, so we proceeded with the transaction, and obviously that's what happened. The transaction occurred. The house was sold.
That might be true, but we also might be able to get contact information for the current homeowner, and that way we can give them a heads up for
Okay.
site visit and all of that sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, Justin, you had Mellis or Mellons or something like that. Was the current homeowner?
It's the Gamellis, Gamelli. It's, I believe it was just Justin and Alicia, I think was what was on the mortgage.
All right, well, I guess you can contact them, Bethany. That would be fine. And then you could let us know the results of that. But also just have it on the to-do list to send them a letter requesting the certificate of compliance, and if we can get contact information, because the commission would like to do a site visit.
Sure.
And, you know, and you can also state in the letter, that we have, somehow put it in there about our legal rights to do a site visit, because there is an open notice of intent on there. If you could
Yep.
cite the regulation in 310 CMR, that would be great.
Sure.
All righty. We have Hidden Ponds Estates down for project monitoring.
All right.
After our last meeting, we went out and took that
Speak into the microphone.
for lot 15. I'm sorry, what was that?
You were turning away, or you were getting harder to hear.
Oh, sorry about that. I was grabbing the letter. So we did go do a site visit at lot 15, and based on the observation and measurements of the commission, one of the trees that was cut down was 21 feet away from the resource area. Has everyone looked at the letter from Mr. Joyce of September
Yes.
25th
Yeah.
regarding the site visit?
Yeah,
I think there was a statement by him that that particular tree had some kind of damage, storm damage to it. I don't know if you guys saw it on the site visit or,
I was there within probably 20 to 30 minutes after the phone call was received
Mhm.
by an abutter complaining. And the tree that was stated that had fallen down, which they had already taken out, basically the 3 trees in question were already all cut down and pretty much gone by the time I got there. The one that the tree service gentleman pointed out was to the far right of the lot, and that's the one he stated had broken off and gone down, and he simply just pulled it out. That one was fine. The one that was in question was the one to the far left of that. There were 3 trees, and the one to the far left was the one that was 21 feet. The other 2 were about 25 feet. They were right on the line.
Mhm.
Based upon the measurements we took at the site visit.
but if I'm not mistaken, his letter says that we measured it incorrectly.
From the water's edge versus from the wetland line.
Right, and when we were there, I'm sure that Craig and Jeff remember the whole story, that the tree had a marker on it. And you couldn't get down any farther. You couldn't get to the water's edge. And plus we're in a drought, so it's gone down. And I mean, we're supposed to use the markers, right?
The flagging was done on a tree, and it looked to be
Right.
a pink flag, which was one of the original flaggings that the wetland consultant did, or Levesque Associates, if I think they were the original. And it was a straight line measure with Craig's help holding the end of the tape up to that point to the tree stump. And Mr. Joyce was referring to the point that wasn't actually the edge of the water,
Right.
but with the severe drought we're in, I want to say the water level, judging by what I've seen at ponds out on Elmcrest Golf Course, I want to say the water level is probably down 3 feet. I don't know if that's true for the quarry. I can't say, but and I don't know if you've all had a chance to read the comments by Mark Stinson.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have those in front of me right now.
And let's see if I can find that email here.
Jeff, I think he talked about using stakes versus the trees to do the actual wetland limit. And it
Correct.
looks like they kind of took, you know, that tree isn't necessarily the wetland line, but they should have literally staked the actual wetland line regardless of the drought or not. There should be a stake.
Well,
that we
basically,
measure
you have
from.
to understand that this wetlands delineation was done 2 years ago, or
Okay.
maybe 3 years ago, or at least 2.5 years ago.
Right.
But also, the orders of condition state that the wetlands delineations have to be maintained throughout the course of the project until there's a certificate of compliance issued.
Mm-hmm.
And one of Mark Stinson's comments was, instead of using a tree or something that's not close to the water
Right.
edge, put in a stake with a flag on it.
Right.
And also, Mr. Joyce's letter is referring to a straight line between the limit of work markers. But, and we've stated this numerous times to Mr. Joyce previously, it's not straight line distances. It follows the contour of the wetlands. It's a 25-foot buffer from the edge of the wetland, regardless.
If I may?
Go ahead, Greg.
Yes, regarding the straight line mark, and if we look at the original drawings that were done by R. Levesque for the original notice of intent we approved, which was for the wetlands delineation and the plan of constructing the road.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually look at it, and it's hard to see it right here on this lot 15,
Mm-hmm.
the line we're talking about, there actually is a jog in that line. And one of the things that we have had issues with is lack of proper distancing between the flagging out there. But if you actually put a straight edge down here on the drawing, it's very plain to see. And this is the drawing from July of 2018, which was when we did the initial approval for this project. So there is a jog in there to follow the contour of the resource area
Mm-hmm.
that should have been followed.
Through the chair, Al Joyce is in the audience if you would like any input or insight from his end.
And I guess I'm all set right now. I mean, we're discussing this between us.
Okay, sorry, I let him in. You want me to send him back?
Go ahead, let him in.
Chance to chat.
Hang on one.
The plans that we filed with the NOI say that the limit of work line is 20, and I'll read it exactly what it says. The limit of work line is located a minimum of 25 feet from the wetland line. And that's the wetland line has been agreed to by all parties. The wetland line is shown on the plan that was filed with the NOI. And between the point on the, between flag A3 and A4, that is a straight line. Our limit of work line is 25 feet from a straight line. So 25 feet from a straight line makes a straight line. And that's what I keep saying, is that the monuments at each end of that line were set by a surveyor, and that line is parallel to the straight line formed by the flags A3 and A4. Now, Craig mentioned that there is a bend in the line, and that's correct. The flag A2 is over 25 feet. A2 is closer to 29 to 30 feet from the limit of work line. And the limit of work line, the wetland line does not change based on drought, doesn't change. If we had monsoons and the water level went up 10 feet, the wetland line doesn't change. if we had a huge drought and the pond dropped by 50 feet, the wetland line does not change. The wetland line is a line that we agreed to. It says it right on the plan, wetland line. The only proper place to measure from is the agreed upon wetland line. You can't arbitrarily pick a place. And I actually went back out there with Tom, and he was the one who looked at the tree with the flag on it that the Conservation Commission measured to. And he says, well, that's not the wetland line. That's not the survey point that the surveyors used when they created the wetland line. They just used that. And you're right, they probably should have put a stake. I can mention that. I don't know. I'm not an expert on how all this works. They put the flag, according to Tom says they put it there because it was convenient. Well, it would have been better for all parties if they had put a stake. But and as far as Jeff mentioned maintaining it, well, that flag is still there, so it has been maintained. The flags, all three of those flags are still there, and we've got stakes marking the offsets on the limit of work line, and all those stakes are there. And the wattles are all further away than 25 feet from the limit of work line that was agreed to by all parties.
The drawing that you submitted out with the notice of intent also shows a jog in the wetland there. And therefore, it needs to, in my opinion, it needs to follow that. And then if we also look that I read at the last meeting, you know, the limit of work line is located a minimum of 25 feet from the wetland line. It's not really a wetland, that's incorrect. It should be resource area because we're dealing with a bank here. No work of any kind, including grading, tree removal, or establishment of a lawn, is allowed between the limit of work line and the wetland line.
Right, and we haven't. And I just put a straight edge between flag A3 and A4, and that's a straight line. And the line and the limit of work line is parallel to that straight line. Between flags A3 and A4. I'm not looking, flag A2 is even further away.
If I follow the contour there from the two corners where you have
no, not from the corners, Craig. From the corner, that's you're going from A2. Yes, A2 is 30 feet from the line that I put down. And there is, if going to A2, then there is a bend. And A2 is even further than 25 feet. And I actually measured that on site. The wattle is 30 feet away from flag A2. Can you see the flag numbers on your plan, Craig?
Yes, I can.
Well, then do you see that if you measure from flag A3 to A4, that's a straight line.
Okay,
and that's
I guess
parallel to the limit of work line.
let me ask you this question, I guess, then if I may, Al.
Okay.
Do you believe the tree that was cut down that is in question is 25 feet away from the resource area, or 21 feet away?
It's 26 feet away.
And that's the one that...
Well, it's 26 feet away from the agreed upon. I don't know what you mean by resource area. I'm not measuring. I can't go out there and measure from a resource area. We go by the surveyed plan. I have no idea I can't look at a resource area and say where the wetlands begin and where the wetlands end. What I can say is that that tree is 26 feet away based on this plan that we all agreed to. And we can't change the plan based on changes in the water level. Or even if they flagged it wrong and the flag should have been in a different place. It's what the Conservation Commission agreed to when they did the site visit. They would have never approved the NOIs that were flagged by this goes back to the original flagging for the road work.
Yes, and the original plan does not have flag numbers on it. But when we were there, the tree was measured 21 feet. And I know when I was holding the end after climbing down the bank on those, I was very conservative in what I was calling the bank or the edge of the bank. And I was closer to where the water would be than what would actually be considered where it should be measured, because you can't be measuring from the water right now in the drought condition. But at this point, I mean, we can kick this around for all we want here, but at this point, I guess I would like to table this for now and see if, ask the commission what they think about seeing about getting Mark Stinson to go out on a site visit here with us and get more of his recommendation. Commission?
I would go along with that.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, I agree. We need to resolve the confusion around this.
Yeah, and I agree also, because I thought we were all pretty clear and pretty much in agreements, and everybody saw that it was 21 feet away. So I guess we'll work on trying to schedule Mark Stinson for a site visit out there.
I'd like to actually too have the actual stake where the wetland line is,
Yep.
Yeah,
rather than the tree.
right. That's what Mark Stinson suggested, that it be staked to make it clearer.
That way we
So
can,
if
that'll help
Al-
resolve a lot.
Yeah, if Al does that, then when we come the next time, it'll be clear.
Well,
Through the chair, I'm not sure if Mark is conducting site visits during the pandemic, but I will definitely ask him, and maybe at minimum he can come to the next meeting and provide some insight.
Okay. I believe he, okay, fine. All righty. I guess the other one that I have is the letter from Mr. Joyce from July 15th for the enforcement order on lot 19 and 20 for Redstone Drive. If people looked at that, when we were out there on the site visit to look at these areas, and we did go over there to the area between 18 and 19 to actually look at an area of concern about being too close with the existing flagging, and it turned out to be all right. And we also looked at one, I believe, in lot 11 or so. But while we were over there, Mr. Joyce brought up that perhaps we could look at, and he showed us where he proposed to do the plantings of the trees for the enforcement order that exists on lot 19 and 20. So we moved on into that area and went to look at that. Comments from the commissioners about the submittal from Al Joyce? Are people ready to discuss this tonight, or should we put this on for the next agenda?
I have a point that I would like to bring up. If I'm out of order, just let me know. But he's talking about Tom O'Brien, member of our commission, right? Who's not present tonight. When he says Tom was there and put a string between the permanent markers. Is that correct? Did I understand correctly?
I believe Tom was out there. I'm not sure. And apparently, based on Mr. Joyce's comments, that yes, Tom met with Al.
Okay, so what is this thing about a string between those two permanent markers? And he said it was a straight line, but then on the plan, it's not a straight line in that particular area where the tree was taken down. So what I would like to clear up is, what does that prove? Putting a string between two permanent markers. We need a permanent marker where that flag should be, right? We need some kind of a stake, not tied to a tree. So either either the marking that's there now, the flag is either correct or it isn't. But are those flags placed based on a string between two? Could you explain that to me? Somebody, Craig maybe, or Jeff?
To the best of my knowledge, the limit of work line is 25 feet and should follow the contour of the resource area.
Right, so it's not a straight line. In this case, I mean, not on the map, it's not.
I don't believe it is, but I guess we need clarification on it. So I will reach out to Mark Stinson and discuss this with him further.
Thank you.
Just a point here, Francis.
Thank you.
Basically, when you start a project like this where there's wetlands involved, the normal practice is you get a hold of a wetlands consultant who
Right.
comes in and delineates the wetland area and marks the wetland area by placing flags along the edge of the wetland boundary.
Right, that's
Okay.
what I thought.
And the straight line that Mr. Joyce is referring to is also the requirement by the order of conditions is permanent limit of work markers are to be placed on the property to mark the limit of work. All right. Yes, Mr. Levesque went out there, or one of his associates, and measured a distance from the edge of the wetland out 25 feet and put in, you probably saw those white markers, which
Yeah,
were
That's what
metal pipes
Yeah.
that filled with cement and painted white,
Right,
okay? The normal practice, which probably should be discussed in the next other business, which we'll get to, is the distance between those limit of work markers.
Right.
Mr. Levesque put one on one side of lot 15, and then there was another one probably some 50, 75 feet away on the other side. So Mr. Joyce has drawn a straight line between them and said that's the limit of work line. But it may not be following the contour of the actual wetland,
that was my
which is the bone of contention here.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, that was my problem.
Is there some kind of statute, sorry, about how far the markers are supposed to be? I think we had to discuss this in another meeting, that we wanted them a certain amount apart. Is there
If I may, Craig, unless you want to take that, Craig?
We did not specify anything on this, but in some of these older plans that we're looking at, we saw that previous commissions were putting in there 20 feet. And,
Okay.
and I believe at a maximum of 20 feet apart. And then that is a practice we should be getting back into when issuing orders of conditions and writing conditions.
And I'm going to make a recommendation. I don't know if this needs to be a motion, but I think it's just general practice that limit of work markers should be a minimum of 20 feet apart. That way you have a clear visual line that you can see readily without, 50, 75 feet away, up and down a hill, behind a rock, behind a tree. It's hard to see from such a great distance.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it's something that we need to go and try and pass a bylaw for. It's more on us just to be doing our due diligence and including orders of conditions.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at plans and is lacking markers, we need to request that more markers be put in.
So that's what's causing this problem right now.
Correct.
Correct.
One of the causes, yes.
Yeah.
Not the only, but. Are people prepared to, do we want to discuss this lot 19 and 20 for Redstone Drive with the proposed rectification of the enforcement order that Mr. Joyce has submitted?
I
Did
am
you
not
want-
prepared to talk about it. Did you guys talk about this in the last meeting?
No.
No.
He showed us when we were on the site visit where he
We
planned them.
we only got the letter 2 hours before the meeting, so
Right. All right.
before the last meeting, which was not enough time for everyone to see it and review it.
Okay,
So we've had it for a couple of weeks, so we definitely need to take care of it at our next meeting to keep moving forward with
Okay.
this. But essentially, the gist of the enforcement orders, there was some trees taken down
mm-hmm,
along lot 19 and along lot 20 on either side of the drain that comes out from the cul-de-sac, the overflow drain that flows into the water there.
mm-hmm,
And essentially the proposal, Mr. is plant a dozen trees off of lot 18 in the area that's actually that cut-through roadway, which is different than where the trees were existing. But so, okay, yeah, if we can definitely do this and look at it and have it for our next agenda, that would be great.
okay.
Anybody else have anything for hidden ponds? I mean, not hidden ponds, I'm sorry, project monitoring.
I'd like to request that if we do decide to go out to 53 Old Farm, maybe we include that. I'd like to go along with someone who's already been to lot 1920 and take a look at what we're talking about with the enforcement order
Sure.
for the future. Yep, okay.
Yeah, were you on the commission when we issued that enforcement order?
When did you issue it? I've kind of been in and out through the summer, so.
It was, no, it was
right around when you started.
Okay.
it was back in February or March.
Oh,
Yeah.
my first meeting was in the middle of February. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So I think it was right around that time, either the first or second meeting in February.
Okay.
We'd have to research the file to find out exactly.
We'll get a copy of the enforcement order to you, Aaron.
All right, thank you.
The only other thing on project monitoring is, I don't know if anybody saw it, it was sent out late today. Or actually, it was sent out this morning. What's his, I forget what his name is.
Oh, Owen Jarmock?
No, John Travato.
Oh, the
from
trees. Yeah, the
461 Chestnut Street.
Oh, yeah.
Requested some trees be cut down, and he sent some pictures of, he has done the planting now that it's fall.
Right.
And he planted a couple of maples.
Red maple and the autumn
Mhm.
maple.
Yeah, and from the pictures, they look pretty good, and he said
Yeah.
they're 10 feet away from the old stump, which is what the recommendation was, 10 to 15 feet away, just to give the trees some room to have a root growth.
Yep.
Yeah, I replied to Bethany's email that my comment was suggesting that he water them additionally during this drought. That he
Yeah.
understand that, because he said he wanted to plant them in September when there's more rain. Well, we're not getting more rain, so he just said he'd be reminded they're going to need a lot of
Yes.
watering.
Yep.
Be ashamed to
I don't-
lose them. They look like beautiful trees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm sure he'll take care of them if he spent the
Yeah.
money to plant them.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is that he had said,
I don't know if we need to go out and take a physical look at those, or,
I don't think so.
I felt like, yeah, the pictures were sufficient.
For me too, and this was an RDA, not a notice of intent.
yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. So we could probably just send him a letter and say thank you,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. Bethany, if you could put that on your list,
Sure.
thank you very much. Project monitoring, anything else?
I think Bethany sent out a draft letter for
Oh, Capri.
Yeah.
Capri that Owen, what's his name?
Yep.
Jamco? or
Jarmock.
Jarmock,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Any response?
I didn't hear back from anybody, so if it looks good, and I can get confirmation tonight, I can send it out tomorrow.
Yep,
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty good.
yep.
Yeah,
me too.
letter's fine, yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Policies and procedures. The only one I had, and I know we had issues with it before, but I would love to get back to mail-in packets. The drawing for Old Farm, it would be great if there's more copies of it and other commissioners could have it. But you know, I burnt up like 16 pages of printing for the meeting tonight.
Me too.
And I can't do it. I just can't print everything. But I would be willing to stop by and pick them up outside of town hall, Stephanie.
So
rather than have
my
it.
concern was only with the issues we had with mailings coming in late for meetings.
Mhm.
I had suggested to Craig that we could set up a box or something with the meeting packets by the library's curbside pickup station.
Right, that's
They
great.
have some of their hours, they coincide with work hours. So Craig, I know that might be difficult for you, but I know Mondays they are open a little bit later, I think till 6 or 7 p.m. So that might work out. So if that's something we want to test out and see how it goes, I'd be happy to set that up.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
All right.
Could you explain that to me as far as, is the box secure? Is there confidential concerns, or where is it exactly and how do I access it?
So it's on the side of the library building.
Okay.
They basically have a table set up where they have, I think it's paper bags or plastic bags with the books for their patrons who have checked out the books already. They
Okay,
put it right up there, and then the person picking up the books just walks up and grabs it. So for the commission, I would have a box labeled, you know, Conservation Commission members only or something like that, and I would have each of your meeting packet information in separate envelopes with your names, and I would have them sealed, so then it's very obvious that that is not for anybody except for the name of the person on the envelope. Generally speaking, everything that you receive is public information. So
Okay.
if somebody did take it, that's not really a confidential issue as far as we're concerned.
great. I'm all for it.
yeah, thank you.
Bethany, where's that located? Is that on the Walgreens side or the,
Yeah, the Walgreens.
Yep, the Walgreens side. It's like right under, they have like a little overhang, so if it rains or something, it won't go wet.
oh, okay, okay.
And
So
would you-
basically that's the main entrance.
Right.
Right.
And Bethany, you'll email all of us the morning that you put them out, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Anybody have anything else?
No?
My thing is conserve water. We're in a drought.
Yes, yeah. Trying.
Shower once a week.
Once a week. Yeah.
Oh, that's going too far now. Just take a quick one, that's all.
Share a shower.
Bucket shower, like in Africa we used to do.
All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Seconded.
All right, roll call vote. Jeffrey,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
and I'm an aye also. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Bethany.
Have a good night.
Good night,
Yeah.
everybody.
Good night,
Aye.